Hey everybody, and welcome to another video lecture which helps lay the foundation for the rest of the semester's classes. The goal of this video lecture is to give you a small insight into some of the main environmental or abiotic factors which have influenced the range of biodiversity in California. We could easily spend the whole semester or more looking at these environmental factors or abiotic factors. But for now, it's sufficient to understand that the state's biodiversity has been shaped by complex interactions between California's incredibly diverse topography, geology, and microclimates. And you may remember the diagram here from the earlier lecture on plant communities. These abiotic factors create a really wide range of ecological niches for plant life, which in turn create a wide range of habitats for other organisms. So let's spend a couple of minutes now looking slightly more closely at the factors influencing biodiversity, especially climate and topography. For those of you who'd like to dig more deeply into this topic, you'll find some supplementary resources in Canvas. California is a region with a high level of tectonic activity, as you all know, and over millions of years, patterns of subduction and uplifting as the Pacific Plate and North American Plate have scraped against each other have resulted in a wide range of topographical features, which you'll see on the next slide. This relief map of California illustrates the main products of millions of years of tectonic activity, which of course is still happening. Running roughly north to south along the eastern edge of the state are the Sierra Nevada and the Cascade Ranges. Running parallel to the Sierra Nevada but close to the coast are the Coast Ranges. The North Coast Ranges here run from the San Francisco Bay northwards to the Klamath Mountains, which join with the southern end of the Cascades. The South Coast Ranges run from the San Francisco Bay southwards to Santa Barbara, where the east-west transverse ranges form a link between the Coast Ranges and the southern end of the Sierra Nevada. Between this ring of mountain ranges is the large, relatively flat basin of the Central Valley, sometimes called the Great Valley, which is divided into the Sacramento Valley in the north and the San Joaquin Valley in the south. Prior to agricultural development, the Central Valley was home to extensive wetlands and wildflower prairies, most of which have been lost to draining and agriculture and development, although there are still some remnants of these plant communities. There are tremendous changes in elevation from the valley floors to mountain peaks, with the state's lowest point being 282 feet below sea level in Death Valley to almost 14,500 feet above sea level at the summit of Mount Whitney. Tectonic activity has also produced a diverse geology in California, which in turn influences the chemical composition and physical characteristics of the state's soils. The unusual chemical composition of some of these soils has produced plants with unique adaptations to survival and contributed to California's high level of plant endemism. As an example, on the right you can see photos of two plants that are adapted to serpentine soils: the tree, Sargent cypress, and the uncommon jewel flower, a small annual. Both of these plants grow only on serpentine soils. So what are serpentine soils? They're soils derived from serpentinite, which is California's state rock. Serpentinite usually has a distinctive greenish color, and its exposed surfaces can have a waxy sheen to them. We don't have any in Santa Cruz County, but there are many outcroppings of it in the North Coast Ranges. There are also some in the South Coast Ranges, but nowhere near as many. Serpentine soils present a number of challenges for plants. They have a low water holding capacity and are particularly low in the essential plant nutrients of calcium, nitrogen, and phosphorus, and particularly high in magnesium. Serpentine soils also contain high levels of the heavy metals, nickel and chromium, which can both be phytotoxic. The result of this unusual combination of minerals is that some plants can't grow in these soils. Live oaks and blue oaks are good examples. Plants that do grow in serpentine soils are often stunted. The exceptions are the large number of serpentine plant endemics which have developed adaptations to the unique chemical properties of these soils and grow nowhere else. So let's look at climate now. Climate is the long-term averaging of weather data, which includes wind, precipitation, and temperature and relative humidity. These are influenced by elevation, latitude, exposure or aspect, and proximity to large bodies of water. California's 1,000-mile-long west-facing coastline, coupled with the north-south orientation of the Coast Ranges, the Sierra Nevada, and the Peninsula Ranges, are major influences on California's diverse microclimates. In particular, the amount of precipitation that falls as you move from west to east across the state. There's also a north-south change in rainfall, with the amount of precipitation increasing as you move from Southern California to Northern California. Annual rainfall can be as low as barely 2 inches in the southeastern desert ecosystem and as much as 100 inches a year in parts of northwest California. Winds in California generally come from the west or northwest, and as clouds are carried across the Pacific Ocean, they pick up moisture. When these moisture clouds meet the coast ranges, they rise and cool in temperature, resulting in moisture being released as rain. As the clouds are blown over to the east side of the coast ranges, they lose altitude and heat up, and this increases their ability to hold moisture. As a result, relative humidity is lower and rainfall is lower in the Santa Clara Valley and Central Valley than it is west of the Coast Ranges. A similar process is repeated as the clouds meet the Sierra Nevada. They cool again as they rise up the western slopes of the Sierra, releasing plenty of rain on the mid-elevation ranges. Elevations in the Sierra Nevada, though, are much higher than the Coast Ranges, and by the time the clouds reach higher elevations, they've been wrung dry. The result is that there's very little water left in them once they cross the Sierra Nevada, and this has resulted in extremely dry desert-like regions in the high-altitude areas east of the Sierra. The Coast Ranges also create a barrier that restricts the flow of cool air from the ocean across the state, so temperatures remain lower along the coast than on the eastern side of the Coast Ranges, except at points where there's a break in the mountain ranges, such as at the San Francisco Bay and the Salinas Valley, where fog can drift inland for a considerable distance, creating cooler regional microclimates with a greater maritime influence. Variability in temperatures along the coast is also moderated by the Pacific Ocean, which serves to keep coastal temperatures lower in the summer and warmer in the winter than more inland areas. So let's summarize what this short video lecture has been about. California's position over the Pacific and North American tectonic plates has over millions of years produced a landscape with a highly variable topography, geology, and soils. The topography, coupled with California's 1,000-mile-long west-facing coastline, results in many microclimates with significant changes in rainfall as you cross the state from west to east and travel from south to north. Complex interactions between all these abiotic factors has resulted in many different habitats for plants, which has led to many adaptations for dealing with harsh environmental conditions, thus contributing to the high level of plant diversity and endemism in the state. That's the end of this lecture. Head back to Canvas now to continue with this module. Thanks for listening.